What's up, everybody? This is episode 16 of The PlayStation Effect, a weekly podcast that discusses the past, present, and future of PlayStation. I'm your host, Marco. Joining me is my good friend and co-host, Pablo, and in this episode, we'll discuss the alarming sales estimates of PlayStation's recent first-party releases and what it all means for Sony. Plus, our showcase coverage concludes with the Nintendo Direct, as we'll give our reactions to games including Ocarina of Time, Kingdom Hearts 4, and much more. So get settled, get situated, subscribe if you enjoy the show, and let's get started. And Pablo, you know what? Let's start with PlayStation, because we did get some interesting estimates from one Alinea Analytics. They have released some estimates about how many copies PlayStation's first-party titles have sold on PS5 specifically. Now, if true, these numbers do paint quite a picture about PlayStation's first-party output, so I thought we can kind of go through the numbers and unpack what it all means. So, at the top of their list is Ghost of Yotei, that sold 4.8 million units, which is pretty good. Below that is Death Stranding 2 On the Beach, which sold 1.7 million. MLB The Show 26 has sold 745,000 units on PS5 thus far. Got Saros up next at 406,000. Then up next is Marathon with 347,000. And then last we have God of War, Sons of Sparta, 132,000 units sold, Pablo. So I want to start with asking you this. What do you think is the most surprising number to you?
Sorrows is probably one of the most surprising ones. Now, I know it's a niche title, but at the same time, it came out for PlayStation in a time that it needs first-party games, and I thought more people were going to show up. I'm not talking about millions, but a little more than the 406K that it sold. I thought it was going to break through just a little bit better than Returnal did, but that just wasn't the case, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think for me, Marathon having a little bit of the Bungie effect, little that Destiny 2 pull, maybe people would still be curious to go see what they're doing. But unfortunately, even when extraction shooters via arc raiders was kind of taking off, it didn't really give Marathon the rub. And I don't know if it's really going to get better from here with that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think what happened with Bungie is Marathon was so vastly different from the Destiny games that it took a lot of heavy lifting in terms of telling people what this game was. And a lot of people didn't buy into it or just wanted, Destiny 3. And so it hit a lot of roadblocks. But you're right, though. That is pretty shocking, being that it is Bungie. I will say, though, MLB The Show usually sells about 1 million to 2 million copies. And it's been out since March. So that's also kind of low, you know?
Yeah. Now let's turn our attention to what we think is the least surprising number. For me, I think it's God of War, Sons of Sparta. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
I think that's the one for me. And I know that a lot of people are like, yeah, but still, that's God of War. But I think that's kind of the problem, because to me, if you're God of War, there's a certain expectation, there's a certain type of game you develop in your mind, almost, of this is what I associate with God of War. And so when you see a 2D side-scrolling pixel art game, that is not what people bought a PS5 or especially a PS5 Pro to experience.
Right.
Especially if there's a million different games that do that, and it's just not compelling anymore. And so I think just that, along with as a game, it didn't apparently seem to be all that good either. It was just kind of okay. That's not the quality bar you would want from a game like this. And I think because it seemed so obvious that this was just kind of a throwaway project, a lot of people caught on to that. And despite the cheaper price, they still didn't want any parts of it. So
I think you nailed it as well. God of War is a huge franchise and people want what they want. And this is not what they want. Not at all.
No.
You know?
And I don't see them doing this again either. I would say the other one that was least surprising to me, but not in a terrible way, was Death Stranding 2. Yeah. That, to me, very niche, and obviously if you weren't into the first game, chances are you wouldn't give the second game a try. So I think this one was definitely a game that was more for the fans. Now, Pablo, what do you think these numbers should tell PlayStation about what they should or maybe shouldn't do going forward?
Below the line franchises aren't going to give you any kind of financial support. Look at the top game, that's Ghost of Yote, a massive AAA game that got the marketing. People really were excited about it. That's the kind of game that PlayStation fans like. That's what they need to refocus on. A lot of other platforms are doing exactly that. They're kind of focusing on the huge IPs, and I think that PlayStation, if you look at besides Ghost of Yote, all those are pretty much what you would call below the line franchises, where they're not exactly very exciting to people, and so unfortunately they're going to net these sales numbers. So it's the big AAA games. That's what PlayStation needs to focus on going forward.
Yeah, I agree. And to that point, my takeaway is niche does not work. Look at Saros, niche genre, roguelike, didn't work. Marathon, extraction shooter, niche genre, didn't work. God of War Sons of Sparta, niche art style, didn't work, right? So whether we like that or not, the reality is that the PlayStation user base is really just into, as you said, AAA looking prestige titles that they're known for. And I think this is why, for better or for worse, we see them putting so many eggs in the baskets of Horizon and God of War and Marvel. So if I'm being honest, what this should tell PlayStation is be more thoughtful about what you greenlight moving forward. Because even though none of these games are inherently awful, the reality is that if you want to continue driving people to your console and not put games on PC anymore, then you need to start making games that really do stand out as marquee titles. So, but let's move on, man. Let's get to the next topic. We're going to be talking about the final showcase of showcase season, and that just so happens to be PlayStation's biggest competitor, Nintendo, who put out their Nintendo Direct. We're going to go through what we think are the most noteworthy things to talk about. Let's begin with talking about the big one. We are getting a full-blown remake of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and it is coming out in 2026, which is surprising. And Pablo, you are the resident Zelda fan. Even though this is a PlayStation podcast, Zelda that's your baby. So
yeah,
I got to know what's going on in your head right now.
I'm not going to say conflicted because that's not the right word. They have a hard task to be able to keep the spirit of the old game but make it new, because why would this exist if it doesn't feel new? The thing about Ocarina of Time is the fact that Ocarina of Time is considered to be a revolutionary game, but so many games, including Breath of the Wild, have kind of superseded it as a game that is revolutionary within its own franchise. So it's losing that part of it. I don't know how they're going to be able to kind of keep that momentum in terms of a game that changed everything. And I don't think they have to, but it's kind of worrisome in terms of if they don't nail this, it could really backfire on them.
I don't know if I'm as concerned because, number one, I do trust Nintendo that they wouldn't do this if they didn't have a vision for why this thing should exist, right?
Right.
I will say, though, I'm not exactly convinced that this is going to be completely one for one. Think along the lines of what they did for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, right? When Delta came out, it was largely the same game under the hood, but they did a couple of really smart quality of life improvements to just make it more modern.
Yeah, with Ocarina of Time, it came out on the Nintendo 64, so that controller is insane. The Z targeting, that's not going to be a thing anymore.
Right.
You know? So I think it'll feel different. I don't care if it feels different, if it doesn't feel like the game that I used to play. I think it does need to evolve in that way.
All right, man, let's move on to the next game then. Let's talk about Xenoblade Genesis, which was definitely a huge surprise for both of us to see this game here. Got a reveal trailer, got a release year of 2027, and it does look like quite a departure from an artistic standpoint. I was really wowed by this, not only because it was here, but because of how good it looks and how far along it looked. I don't know why I thought in my mind, like, oh, we're going to be a few years out before we see the next Xenoblade, but I want to get your read on it, though. You know, like, Xenoblade is a very big part of Nintendo as of the last couple years, and this is definitely a brand new chapter for the franchise. What did you make of this, and tell me about your excitement levels?
I thought this looked really dope. My fandom comes from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, so I'm newer to the franchise, but very excited for what's next because that game was absolutely incredible, an incredible RPG. It looks beautiful. It looks like they're taking advantage of everything Switch 2 has to offer. It's a gorgeous game. I think next year we'll be talking about this game in terms of art style and how awesome it looks.
In a year where Final Fantasy VII Revelation was supposed to be the big Japanese RPG of next year, this is knocking on the door going, wait a minute, hold on, we got room for two up in here. So I think this one's going to be a banger for them to say the very least. But that wasn't all we saw from the Xenoblade universe, because we also found out that Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3 are all getting Switch 2 updates, starting with Xenoblade Chronicles 1, which actually got its update the day of the show. So if you're a fan, or if you're not a fan and you want to get caught up on what you missed, this is definitely going to be the best way to play. So I was really excited to see this. So I'm excited about this for sure. But let's go ahead and move on to the next game on the list here, Pablo. That is Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, which got a nice little overview trailer. It is coming out in the dreaded month of September 17th, man.
Nintendo don't care.
They don't care. They don't give a damn. But look, I will say, I loved Fire Emblem Three Houses. I did not at all like Fire Emblem Engage. I think that this seems like a really good return to form. What about you, man?
Yeah, same. I think Three Houses was absolutely amazing. Loved it. And so when Engage came out, I just thought when these games come out and it's a mainline game, it's going to be quality. It's going to be crazy. Engage comes out, I'm like, this feels like a mobile game.
It did.
I don't know. But Fortune's Weave definitely looks really dope. So I'm going to be checking this out as well now that I'll have a Switch 2.
Let's move on. Now let's talk about the next game here. And that is Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, which got a reveal trailer and a very extended thumb wrestling walkthrough. Nintendo is wild, man. I'm gonna just tell you that right now.
Nintendo be Nintendoing, man. I'll tell you that.
That was some Nintendo ass shit right there.
Yeah, full pass for me. I don't.
Nah, man. You
I don't
you know
need this
you
in
want
my
that.
life. I don't need this in my life.
I know you want that thumb war, man. Let's move on. Let's talk about Star Fox real quick. Got another new trailer. Also got a free demo that came out the day of. Of course, it is on track for June 25th, so it's coming out very, very soon here. Pablo, look, the more you see of it, what do you think of it?
Yeah, the more I feel like a hypocrite because I've been banging at the door of Star Fox, we need Star Fox, and I see this, I'm like, I don't want to play this.
This is why I can't stand, man. You know what?
It's a remake. It's a remake of Star Fox 64, which is arguably the best Star Fox game. I get it. And you're trying to get people back to Star Fox, and so you're going to use the best game you have. And this is going to do a lot for them. But I played the shit out of that game, and then it got remade for the 3DS again, which was awesome as well. I'm glad it exists because it get people back into Star Fox, hopefully. But I'm cool with it for now, you know?
Okay.
I hope you get to play it and you love it. But yeah, I'm cool with that shit.
Yeah, let me know how you feel about it when you play it, too, because you're going to buy it.
Nah, man. I Star Fox 64, I'm so tired.
Watch out, Pablo.
I see that trailer. It's like, been there, done that.
Okay. Put a pin in that. Let's move on to the next game on the list here. Splatoon Raiders got a little bit of an overview trailer. It's also getting a special Nintendo Direct presentation on June 30th. It is coming out fairly soon, too. It's coming out July 23rd. This didn't do it for me. I don't understand why this game exists. I think it's
okay.
That's
I didn't want to say that because I've been negative. I don't want to be negative twice in a row.
It's cool that it's a thing, right? It is, because more Splatoon, why not, right? But the more I saw of the actual gameplay, I was like, okay, I don't know if this is really going to capture the Splatoon fan base either, because they love that competitive scene, and that's not anywhere here. And that's not to say that Splatoon can't branch off and be other things. I just don't think this was the kind of game to make.
It's like, do you guys know why people like Splatoon? I don't think you know. And it's getting its own direct. It's like, it feels desperate on Nintendo. Like, please love this game.
I'll tell you what it feels like. It feels like Kirby Air Riders all over again. I just don't see it for this game. I don't.
It just feels weird, even for Nintendo.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what we're doing here. But they're not probably expecting this to take over the world. But a game that kind of did take over is Pokemon Pokopia, which is getting new expansion content. I'm actually interested to play this game. So really exciting to see it. I hope that it connects with me as much as it has with other people. It's got a little bit of that Animal Crossing element to it, which could work for me really well. But I got to get my hands on it and know for sure. But did this get you excited to try it out when you finally get your Switch 2?
Yeah, I think so. This looks really cool. And I heard it's like really weird too. Like there's some weird stuff going on in the game that it's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a little quirky to say the least. So I'm very interested. But let's shift gears from first party to third party stuff, Pablo. We're only going to talk about 3 games here because I think a lot of the show was more or less a port fest of, hey, this is coming to Switch 2. Hey, you remember this game? Yeah. It's coming to Switch 2. So there wasn't a lot there in terms of excitement. The one that did pop out for me was Stellar Blade. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's no longer a PlayStation console exclusive now. All right. But I do want to talk to you about Final Fantasy Resonance. This is an HD 2D Final Fantasy that's been kind of repurposed from a mobile game. It is coming out October 22nd. I think I'm a little bored of this art style. I want to say that up front. Personally, I just don't get a lot out of it anymore. I think I've seen it too many times. It was cool, though, to see it in a Final Fantasy sort of universe, but I think just the mobile game thing is doing shit with my mind. And then when you see cameo appearances from Cloud and stuff like that, it just feels like, this doesn't feel like its own dedicated thing. So this is probably a pass for me.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence on it. It's probably a pass for me as well, even though it is a repurposed game for mobile. Octopath Traveler 0 was as well, and that game got great reviews. So they know how to make this game feel like a full game. So I'm not really worried about that. But yeah, you're right. This HD 2D shit, I only like it when the studio behind Octopath is making it. You know, I'm playing right now The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales. That game looks absolutely amazing. It has that art style, but it's doing something just a little different in terms of its gameplay. So I like that about it. But yeah, when this game got announced, I was super excited. But the more I learned about it, the more I saw, I'm like, yeah, you know, this is cool, but I don't know if I'm going to be getting it. Like, I was in as soon as I saw it, but then I'm like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next game here. The Duskbloods from Software finally shows this game off again with a cinematic trailer. We found out it is also getting a closed network test in summer, although we have no release window. So this one is in all likelihood slipping to probably 2027 at some point. Initial thoughts from me, I think the art style is really coming together. I like that a lot. I think it looks just more cohesive. Not showing the gameplay, however, that kind of did something to me a little bit. So I'm going to be very blunt. I'm not past the fact that this is a multiplayer game.
I'm a little confused by it from Software and what they're doing and why they're doing this. This game visually looks cool. That's about it for me. I mean, I don't think the premise of the game, I don't think the trailer they showed was particularly interesting. It looked pretty, but in terms of interest, none of this feels like true From Software to me. But I think you're right, too, in terms of slipping. Closed network test in summer, I think they're going to use that as an excuse to be like, oh, we're listening to your feedback. We're going to push this game back. But yeah, it's a huge head scratcher for me, man.
Yeah. I don't doubt that it's going to sell well, though, because anything with From Software on it is going to sell. It's just that you are trying to sell people on a multiplayer game on Switch 2's Nintendo Online architecture, which sounds nightmarish to me. Your games are hardly ever running well optimized. Right. So then you add in network challenges. So to me, this feels like a tough hill to climb for them. I want to really be excited about this game. I do. I can't wait for more information and more gameplay because I want to turn around on it so badly and make it one of my most anticipated games of next year or whenever it comes out. But right now, I think cinematically it's there, but everything else that makes it the game that it is just has me doubtful that there's a way to pull this all together. So we'll just have to see what happens. But last but not least, on the third-party tip, Kingdom Hearts 4, Pablo. It popped up here. Now, don't be nasty. Don't be nasty, okay? Now, I will say, I thought this looked a little weak.
It looked dingy.
It looked a little dingy. And I'm not hating on the fact that Kingdom Hearts exists. That's not what this is about. I think just literally looking at the trailer, I just felt like there was an artistic disconnect. A lot of problems that I had with the combat looking a little weird. It seems like a lot of people in the Kingdom Hearts fan base are happy about this. I feel like this was actually a bit of a letdown.
It looked almost exactly the same visually from the teaser. I didn't see much improvement, and I played Kingdom Hearts. I enjoyed them to a certain extent. I am not a huge fan of like the lore and all that stuff and how complex it is. But there's something about this game that I saw. I'm like, what about this feels like Kingdom Hearts? Mm-hmm. Because the art style, where they were, the buildings, and being in that city, it just felt really weird. I don't know how far off this game is. I feel like it is probably 2 years off. And this is just kind of showing Nintendo fans, hey, when it does come out, you can play it here as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, hopefully the fan base is satisfied. It sounds like they're very excited, but I think just the optics of it for me was not as interesting. But I'll digress on that one for sure. But Pablo, that's kind of the main things to talk about with the Nintendo Direct. So let's kind of get to final grades and top 3 games of the show real quick. So I'll give it to you to go ahead and run through your stuff.
My top 3 are at 3, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. I got Xenoblade Genesis, and I got The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, obviously. My grade is a C++. I wanted to give it the most I possibly could without giving it a B. I just think that when I look at what the showcase is, I know what they're doing. They're meeting their players where they are, right? This was a showcase for the Switch first fan. You know, hey, you got to Switch 2 because it's going to be your main console. Here are all the games coming to this, all the ports. Here's the announcement of Kingdom Hearts 4. Here's these first-party games. I appreciate that, but it is a showcase. It is an experience. The way that they laid all these things out, it just wasn't very entertaining to watch. It was a kind of a hard watch at times, specifically that first half. So obviously, Legend of Zelda is huge to have there, but overall, as an experience, as a showcase, as a direct, it was still pretty much a high-end, just regular direct. It wasn't the Direct of Dreams that people thought it might be. So that's why I went with a C++.
All right, man. Well, I got it at a B-. Not a B-. Don't get confused. But yeah, I mean, mostly the same sentiments. I think that Nintendo is in a very interesting position where they have the leverage now to say that when games come to our platform from third parties, it's not just a one-off. It is, no, our hardware is capable of Onimusha, Stellar Blade, you name it. Like, you know, all these different games that at one point with the Switch 1 was like a novelty. Oh my God, The Witcher 3 is coming to the Switch 1. How do they do it? Like, they're kind of making that the norm now. And I like the fact that they want to push that message, but I think they pushed it too far with just not stopping with the ports. But when they started getting to the things that I think are more Nintendo defining, I think they did a really damn good job. I mean, 4 Xenoblade projects in one show, an Ocarina of Time remake, a new Fire Emblem, a new Switch sports game, Star Fox, Pokemon. I mean, they covered all but a mainline Mario, essentially, in terms of like all the bases you would want.
I agree.
So I was happy with what I saw. So B- for me. Top 3 games of the show, same as yours. Number 3, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave looked incredible. Can't wait to get back into the groove with that franchise again after Fire Emblem Engage kind of dropped me off. Xenoblade Genesis, major surprise. One of those jump out of your seat moments for me for sure. So definitely a game that I'm getting day one. And then The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It's just incredible to see that this is a reality and that not only people like you get to relive a game this important to your gaming lineage, but that it can also be introduced to a new audience who might only know Zelda from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and need to kind of go back and see what this Ocarina of Time thing is that everyone talks about, because it is still the highest rated game in video game history. So I think that justifies getting a chance to see it again. I mean, we've seen remakes for much worse, so no one should be complaining, in my opinion. But that's my list, man. So you know what? Let's go ahead and kind of round out all of this showcase coverage, Pablo. Now that we've seen what Xbox, Nintendo, and even Jeff Keighley's showcases had to offer, I do think this is a good time to kind of circle back to the state of play, to explore the aftermath of that showcase now that we have this additional context of what else everybody else had to bring. So 2 questions kind of come to mind that I want to unpack with you here. And I want to start with the first question. Thinking about the state of play, where has this showcase season left PlayStation moving forward?
Pretty much right where they started before. They had an opportunity with their state of play to really advance the narrative for their platform. That show was not bad at all. They showcase great games that are coming even this year with Wolverine, but I do think that they didn't really take advantage of the season like other platforms did. But that's not a bad thing either, because it didn't regress. It just kind of kept them in the same spot, and the spot that PlayStation is at is still pretty good. That's where I think it was. They didn't take quite advantage of everything, but they didn't move backwards, in my opinion.
I've kind of wrestled with this question within myself a lot, because I can see how people can say same old PlayStation in that kind of cynical sort of way. But I can also make an argument and say that I do think that this was, in some capacity, a return to prestige titles again, right? We are not trying to dangle a bunch of B-tier franchises in front of people anymore. The days of Saros, that kind of thing, is gone, and I think now what is left is, okay, mainline, big-time Marvel title, mainline, big-time God of War title, right? So now we're getting back to that heavy hitter feeling again, and I think that is a good thing to see from Sony, especially since the showcase did not have anything live service outside of Marathon to show off. We didn't see the rebranded Fair Games. I think they're calling it Break-In now from what we've heard. We didn't see Horizon Hunters Gathering. So they at least are showing that they understand the core concept of let's prioritize prestige when it comes to these showcases. And I do think that is a good thing to see, in my opinion. Yeah. Now, the second question, I want to pull Xbox into this conversation for a second. Allegedly, Xbox reportedly did pull the plug on having Halo campaign evolved at the State of Play. So in other words, it was originally supposed to be there. The trailer that was showing off Halo running on PS5 Pro that ended up on YouTube was actually supposed to be at the State of Play. And I want to ask, would we feel differently about the State of Play if Xbox didn't pull the Halo Combat Evolved trailer from the show?
I don't know if it would have changed my opinion of the State of Play itself, but overall, it would have been like a industry moment where it's like, dude, Halo is on PlayStation and it's on the State of Play. And that way, yeah, it would have been huge. But in terms of what it's going to do for PlayStation, not much. For their State of Play, I don't think it would have changed much for me. I'm
actually in a bit of a different place than you are with that, because I would have seen that and thought, oh my God, this is insane. Like, beyond just like the surreal, oh my God, I'm watching Halo on a PlayStation showcase feeling, but more of like, it would have kind of been the death nail for Xbox, in my opinion, from an optics standpoint. Now,
yeah,
I want to say, I think that the partnership between Sony and Microsoft in regards to Halo is a little bit more extensive than we think, right? Because it all started with Helldivers 2, with the Halo ODST crossover, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that was a big moment where it told me, okay, there's a little something going on from a contractual standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, that's happening here that's bigger than just, hey, we're going to port Halo to PlayStation and that's it, right? This seemed like the start of a very big crossover partnership between both brands. The fact that Asha did pull Halo from the State of Play, to me, does explain why the relationship has reportedly soured a little bit, because now PlayStation's like,
that's so weird.
PlayStation's like, now hold on, y'all. You came to us, bringing this game over, extending this olive branch to us and saying, hey, let's collab, bro. We'll give you Halo to put in Helldivers. We got you on that. Let's put Halo on the State of Play. And Sony's like, all right. And then somebody goes, never mind. Hey, you're telling us we can put it here, so great. Now we know where we're going to put this in our lineup of games. We're going to put it right here in the middle. And when that was no longer on the table, I think it weakened what could have been an even better show. So I think, to me, I can understand why there might be some vitriol there, because I know if I would have seen it there. And that trailer's damn good, by the way. If that was the agreement and Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond were like, hey, man, take this. Let's work together. Let's collab. And now you have a leadership change that's like, oh, no, give it back. You know, it's like, all right, well, then fuck y'all, man. Like, you need us more than we like. And I'm not saying that's how I feel. I'm not trying to console war or anything like that. I'm just saying, if I'm Sony, I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing then? Leave us alone. You know, just put the game out on PlayStation and stop trying to do all this marketing shit with us, you know?
Do you think that PlayStation shares with Xbox exactly when they're going to have showcases or State of Plays months out?
I think they would have to, because Xbox needs to know, because they would have to put up press releases, Xbox wire posts that kind of join the trailer. Yeah. They would need to know.
But I wonder how far ahead do they know, because of the fact that if you make a deal like that, it'd just be so weird for it to be on the State of Play, because to that point, Halo hasn't, those trailers that we've seen and the gameplay stuff hasn't really been that convincing. These two trailers that showed up on Xbox and the PlayStation 1 were the ones that got people really excited for it. So, but then again, you're right. I mean, a deal's a deal, right?
Yeah. That's the thing. So this could potentially...
Xbox seemingly doesn't care about burning bridges right now.
Yeah. I mean, this could potentially harm future... This could potentially make it harder for Xbox to broker new deals going forward, in the event that their strategy does not work out and that they end up needing to kind of stay third party. PlayStation might be less likely to feature their games. And so now it can get a little petty. So... there's a lot that can come with it. And I'm not saying any of it's justified or whatever, but, you know, it's a case of like, hey, you're coming to us because you need to make more money selling your games in more places. So how about don't fuck us when we have a big showcase coming up, and then prop your shit up instead and leave us kind of sitting here ass out titty swinging. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand why that would make them a little salty. So, especially when you hear like, oh, the Xbox showcase ran circles around the state of play. Did you see Halo? And people at Sony are like, yeah, you were supposed to see it over here, motherfucker. Like, so I guess that's kind of where I'm at. Like, at the end
go crazy, blah, 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 blah.
At the end of the day, like, I get why Xbox did what they did. Like, optically, that would have been buck bananas. Like, that would have been crazy. So I think they made the right move. It's just, I think that does give Sony a little bit of the like, man, what the fuck are y'all doing to us, man? Leave us alone, you know? So that's all. But I digress, man. Nevertheless, I think it was a really fun showcase season. I think we can both agree.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, one of the better years, I would say. There were a lot of duds.
It felt like E3, right? E3 is back. That's what it felt like.
Closest thing to it in a while, bro. So yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. But that is going to do it for our showcase coverage, and that is also going to do it for this week's episode of the PlayStation Effect. Now, before you go, please be sure to follow our show if you enjoyed what you heard. We drop new episodes every single Tuesday, but until next time, stay safe, save often, and we'll see you next week.